Melbourne recently saw large-scale anti-immigration protests, with organizers openly chanting slogans against Indian immigrants, directly accusing them of disrupting Melbourne's social order. However, when the storm hits, no one is spared. Soon, all immigrant groups felt hostility from white locals. After all, if someone can yell at Indians on the street to go back to their country, they can say the same to Chinese or Southeast Asians. My friend said he was shocked that his usually friendly white neighbor joined the protests, as their family is typically simple and kind in daily interactions. But his neighbor admitted that in the protest crowd, emotions get heavily stirred up. He felt some regret, but once back in the crowd, the atmosphere immediately pulled him in again. This is normal psychological logic. Most Germans who persecuted Jews back then were originally kind people who did not hate Jews. But the entire country was enveloped in an anti-Jewish atmosphere, and people gradually grew accustomed to various forms of persecution. Today, Israelis dropping bombs in Gaza mostly aim to target extremist groups like Hamas, not to indiscriminately harm Palestinians. But after getting used to hate-filled slogans and seeing civilians die in warfare, they became numb, treating these tragedies as normal. I mentioned in past videos that in an avalanche, no snowflake is innocent. The uncivilized behaviors of Indians, their foolish actions in online communities, their use of fraudulent means to immigrate to Western countries, their disregard for public morals and social order, and the immense damage they cause locally, combined with the clownish performances of Modi and the BJP government, plus India's long-standing reputation for scams, have made the label Indian a negative term globally. Now is the time for all Indians to pay the price, while other ethnic immigrants are merely collateral damage in this storm. I believe that if Australia's immigrant communities want to protect their rights, they should not hide at home hoping to weather the storm, but take to the streets to make their voices heard. First, regardless of whether Indians defecate on beaches, defraud immigration offices, deceive banks for loans, or litter in public, they are already in Australia and cannot simply go back to their homeland. Australia is not the white man's Australia. This land never belonged to white people. It is the home of Indigenous Australians. The British sent droves of thieves and robbers to Australia, who used guns and bayonets to seize Indigenous lands, then built farms and cities to live respectable lives. Now they claim this is God's gift to them, which is the biggest joke in the world. If God can grant Australia to you, He can grant it to Indians. If Indians should go back to their country, you should pack your bags and return to Europe immediately. The arrogance and ignorance of these white right-wing groups must not be allowed to grow. They must be confronted head-on. If Indians are targeted and Chinese or Southeast Asian immigrants choose to stay silent, the anger will eventually spread to you. If white people are willing to reason with them. If not, you must organize and fight back. This is not an era where Western countries can send a few warships, plant a flag on a coastline, and claim a nation. If the Australian government dares to use force to suppress immigrant communities, China and India can send warships to Australia to protect their citizens. At the same time, Australian society must seriously investigate the root cause, who brought so many Indians to Australia. Indians using fraudulent means to immigrate to Five Eyes countries have become a widespread problem, not just Australia's. Their disregard for social order and the visible damage they cause are undeniable. Legislative and administrative bodies must act immediately, enacting strict laws to tightly control the number of Indian immigrants. This is not racial discrimination against Indians, but about accepting them within capacity. In fact, many white Australians in the protests are simple people, not robbers or thugs like their ancestors. They are ordinary folks working hard to support their families. Their demand is straightforward. Australia must return to a normal track and not sink with Indian immigrants. I know Indians do not acknowledge their destructive impact on immigration destinations, claiming it is all racial discrimination. This issue is easy to address. If you are truly good and excellent, you should stay in your country and build India, not immigrate everywhere and become a global topic. If only Australia targets you, you can call it racism. But if the whole world criticizes and rejects you, the problem is clearly with you, not the world turning bad. It is about your inability to integrate into a normal world. I hope the world can establish a fair mechanism allowing people to choose their living destinations. This mechanism must be open and transparent. Those who respect local culture, pass assessments, and integrate into society should be allocated more immigration quotas, while groups that disrupt order and cause societal regression should have their immigration rights revoked for a period. This is a just and fair system that does not harm immigrants or host countries. If India is rejected for immigration by all countries, its elites will reflect on India's own issues and build their country, rather than bringing bad habits abroad and causing disasters. If they can build their homeland and improve their quality, many countries might offer favorable policies to attract Indian immigrants. If the world closes its immigration doors to India and it remains a shithole as it is now, it proves other countries are right to limit the harm to a minimum. My ideas may seem harsh, but they are effective and fair. If a group does not even love their own homeland, how can they love someone else's? Instead of wandering around causing trouble, they should build their own country and change their image. If you turn India into a cesspool and then flee, that is the greatest injustice to those who stay behind.